Bernardo Bertolucci's 1987 Majestic, The Lost Emperor, won 9 Oscars, including Best Picture and Best Director. Now, for the 80s, that was quite, even now, that's quite an achievement. But the sad thing is, how many people actually remember that movie, The Last Emperor? When people think of Bernardo Bertolucci, if you ever do, his most notable thing is actually Last Tango in Paris, which may be better than The Last Emperor, but Last Emperor does not deserve the amount of obscurity that it's gotten over the past little bit, because it deals with the Chinese and politics and history, but this is a truly remarkable achievement. Bernardo Bertolucci is he makes one of the best crafted epics of that entire decade. Is it really the best epic of the 80s? Not quite, but his directing is just out of this world. Like, he's able to change styles and use color to his advantage, and the set pieces in this are glorious. Sometimes, like, even though you're watching a movie on the screen, of course he's able to transport you into the movie's own world, and when you're there, you can almost feel the textures and feel the materials of what these outstanding images look like. Because we're transported so deep, everything is so detailed. Yeah, that's how good this is. So the movie is all about the Last Emperor of China. And one flaw of the movie is its political stuff. The politics were handled good, but they weren't handled as good as something like All the President's Men, but it's still handled pretty well. So this 3-year-old is he becomes emperor of this forbidden city in China, and politics are really seizing hold of the majority of that entire country, and so he grows up thinking that he's the most important, hottest thing in the world, because he can do whatever he wants, he can say whatever he wants, anything that happens, he will never get in trouble for it. He's the boss of everybody, including people like 10 times his senior. So, yeah, because of that, he grows up thinking that he's like the greatest thing in the world. He eventually gets a tutor who's played by Peter O'Toole, in a great performance of his, and tries to teach him that he's really not that he's just a normal person like everybody else. Eventually grows up into John Lone, who delivers a really good performance in this. So John Lone, as the final emperor, it's like his last stages as emperor, and eventually, when China it takes over that entire forbidden city, also he winds up in Manchuria trying to be emperor again. And there's a bunch of these political war crimes that he gets embroiled in, and it's the contrast between how he ends up in the war, not in war, but in prison. The contrast between the prison stuff and when he was emperor of the Forbidden City, quite outstanding stuff. He learns that he's just a normal person like everybody else, and the world is a cruel place. Yeah, that's like the theme of you're just a normal person like everybody else. That theme is so original, handled so delicately right here, that we end up that's ultimately what separates it from other costume epics. Because this is a very outstanding, as I said, it's an outstanding epic. It's absolutely gorgeous to look at and admire, like Bertolucci's stuff. But the writing and the subtext, the thickness of the material is great. thing that I don't like about this movie is the performance by the of course it's basically a biography of the last emperor. So when he grows up, well, we see him from age 3 to just before his death. And of course, the majority of the film is John Lone plays him. But when we see him as a teenager, it's played by a different actor, of course. And that actor's terrible. He's a terrible actor, but we only get what we don't get to see much of him because, as I said, the majority of the film is John Lone. And even the actor that's like the kid version of the Emperor before the teenage version, he's not very good, but he doesn't suck as much as the teenage emperor. But we put up with it, and everything else in the movie it cancels out the bad acting from the two kids that played the younger emperor. And yeah, this is such a good epic that I really feel like I don't think that the movie is worthy of any sort of low score. It's almost like an obligation for me to give this movie a perfect score, but even if I didn't feel obligated to, I would still call this a great piece of film. So I'm kind of obliged, but my admiration for this film is just through the roof. I love it. I'm gonna give it 4 stars out of 4. Please subscribe.